Welcome everyone to EMC3 Chat to episode 5, where we are going to be discussing cancer season. You guys know us. My name is Matthew, and I'm joined by my two favorite Geminis, Elizabeth and Chris. And for those watching our YouTube video, we have an ASL interpreter, the lovely Ro. So get ready, you guys, because we are going to serve, sip, and spill all of the spiritual tea. Welcome, you guys. How are we doing today?
Perfecto. I mean, surviving retrograde season, so here we are.
Here we are.
Could be better, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it could be better, could be worse, that's for sure. I'm good. I'm enjoying my hibiscus tea once again. What are you guys, what are you sipping?
Obviously, iced coffee, because that's what it fuels my body.
I'm trying to get that beach body ready, so it's all green tea up in here.
It's what? Green tea?
Green tea.
Green tea, okay. Metabolism booster. I see you, Snatch. Cute. Well, let's get into it. We're doing cancer season right now, I think, aren't we?
Correct. Cancer season, it's very emotional, or it can be, and we have many retrogrades for those who've been following along in the podcast or just know, because currently cancer season begins on June 20th this year. That's also going to be the equinox, the summer equinox. And then one day later, we have the annual solar eclipse, new moon in Cancer. And then with that, we're going to have 5 planets in retrograde. So we have Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, and then Mercury went retrograde on the 18th. And for those listening, if you want to listen to our Mercury retrograde podcast, that's episode 4, and you can get caught up.
I have a question, Matthew. How often do planets go retrograde like that? Having 5 planets, is that common or is it not common?
So Venus and Mars only go retrograde like every 18 months. So the fact that they're both going retrograde this year, it's like 50-50 chance. All the outer planets, though, retrograde every year. So it's usually sometime in the summer, July, August. But the outer planets don't affect us as much. Like I think everyone knows when we get a Mercury or a Venus or even a Mars retrograde, you feel just a little bit harder.
Right.
Yeah.
But still a very unique time to be experiencing this.
Totally.
And 5 in retrograde, for sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you said that we have an annual eclipse in Cancer. So every year, sorry for our listeners, he's nodding yes, for our emotional body to get a major reset every year is actually a really interesting thing. Is there another eclipse that is as annual as that like always happens at the exact same time?
At the end of December, there's always that eclipse that happens like right around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that usually eclipses happen in sets of 2. Right. And last year, 2019, and this year, they're in sets of 3. So I think Source, the universe, was just preparing us for a little bit more extra change. It's like, these people just aren't getting it. I need to give in some extra eclipses to shake shit up.
Well, kind of, illuminates the fact that this is the Great Awakening, or we're ascending of sorts, right? As a humanity, we've now shifted into the 5D. From the 3D world. So if that's confusing to you, please Google it. But this is what's happening on our conscious level of human experience.
And even the connection of like mind, body, and soul coming in 3s, and like the last, 24 month or that 24-month gap having a reset of mind, body, and soul. And like, yeah, it's definitely, the chains are coming off. That's for sure. I was just shuffling my cards and I saw the Devil reversed, which is definitely the chains are coming off, and we're wrapping up all those old toxic cycles. So I guess that does come with a huge emotional release. So what do our listeners have to expect, I guess, for this Cancer season, release and eclipse and all this crazy shit that's going on?
Yeah, we did talk about the eclipses a little bit in the eclipse season podcast, so our listeners can go back and listen to that. But right now, given that it's A, in Cancer season, B, the day after the solstice, it's like they're basically almost overlapping. The second of 3 eclipses, and we have 5 retrograde planets. It really is going to be a chance to reflect on this past year and even the past 18, 20 months, because that has been when we're dealing with the Cancer, Capricorn axes. Like we've been dealing with this maternal, paternal, inner child work, subconsciously or not, really for almost the past 2 years. That had been the theme of Cancer and Capricorn. And so with this eclipse, you can really illuminate your relationships with others and yourself and your inner child, and see what's working and what's not. Because I know, Elizabeth, you do a lot of stuff around the inner child. It's one of your go-tos. So I think you can even build on this more, but it is really going to be a chance to expand upon all relationships. And the eclipses do a lot of work for us. They kind of just push us off that ledge, whether we're ready or not. So you can either choose to go head first or not.
Yeah, very interesting. And like what I hear as well is relationships within the home, right? The ones that we keep the closest to us, the ones that really get to see our true self, our true identity. So these will be the relationships that we're focusing on the most with this Cancer season, is what you're saying?
I think so, yeah. And it's interesting that you said the home, because for modern astrology, Cancer rules the 4th house,
Right.
which is home, family, structure. Even secrets sometimes can appear in the 4th house, like family secrets. So again, with moon energy, solstice, eclipse, there might be some, especially with the retrograde energy, there might be some more hidden tea that comes to light. Who knows? That could also be a fun manifestation right now.
Yeah.
There's definitely going to be a whole, again, like that Cancer energy is really maternal and really focused on that relationship. Either it doesn't even necessarily need to be to the mother, but it's like motherly things, right? So it's like how we show up to nurture, how we show up to care for others, for ourselves. Like even when I'm thinking of Cancer energy, I'm thinking like Queen of Cups, which is like compassion, empathy, always holding space for other people. But like with the eclipse, and it's a solar eclipse, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So like the solar eclipse to me is going to be more of a like, what do we want to bring in as opposed to what do we want to release? So there's this energy of like, okay, if we're going to continue nurturing people, like I need to do it in a new way that doesn't, keep me in a deficit of care for myself, because like that Queen of Cups comes up reverse in a lot of my readings lately, and it's like you can't pour from an empty cup. So I think for those of us who are like constant pourers, like we need to make sure that our relationship to how we pour and who we pour for is like much better. And I think that that's sort of like with that eclipse, forcing us to like rethink how we're going to show up to continue to do that care work. So it's definitely an interesting relationship to self that is being illuminated, I feel.
Yeah. And I think like when you're explaining it like that, I received a message hearing like, where do the core beliefs come from in the first place? So, what you were saying, like what's being illuminated in order to change how you are in relationship with certain things. It's like, well, why was it that way in the first place? Like who told you to believe that in the first place? Where does the education come from? And can you question that source? Because if it doesn't come from a place of your own knowing, even if it comes from something, well, I was taught this, but I believe it to be true, even though I was taught it, can that be enough then to justify the relationships that you have and the way you're showing up to those relationships? So it's really like challenging, like if you have a belief about something, who told you that belief was true in the first place? So your relationship to yourself needs to change, meaning like how you, like what core beliefs you have, where do they come from? And then if you can evaluate those core beliefs as a source of knowing from you as the teacher, I taught myself this, therefore it's true. But if a belief comes from something external, like our school system, our religion systems, our societal systems, and they're not in alignment with the way you want to live your life, then you need to start changing those beliefs, because we've been taught often certain ways of living. So how do you identify with yourself within the home, with your friends? It needs to come from a source of knowing within versus outside, which is kind of what you were saying, Chris, which illuminates, it's a lot of illuminating within, right? With the solar eclipse.
Yeah, and it's that energy of like, half of these people, even more, it's like, do you know how many clients I talk to that I'll ask them, well, where does that even come from? And they're like, I have no fucking idea. It just is what I think. And I'm like, well, girl, that is why the death card is coming up, because this is like deep-seated subconscious programming that you are letting go of, because you've just absorbed this habit or this lifestyle or this like integrated way of living without even actually, like, you're just going through the motions of it. And now we're being asked to like question, like, why do I do the things that I do? And like, it kind of goes back to that Three of Coins energy of like, whose blueprint am I building? Like the Three of Coins reverse is like, you know, there's somebody there holding a map sort of thing, but like, is that my map? Is that your map? Like, am I just working to do what you want me to do? Like, there's a lot of those questions coming up for people. And I think that this eclipse season and Cancer season is really going to get us like deep into that. But Matt, like, what else is coming up for Cancer season, or what is a big sort of like, what does it do? What does it don't? Like, what are you vibing?
Yeah, I was gonna say too, with what you guys both spoke about, obviously easier said than done. A lot of times it's like, I need to change, but when you're dealing with a mortgage and you have 2 kids and it's like, you should just really pursue your dream as an artist. And they're like, I have all these bills to pay and my kids need to go to this school. Like, it's easy for us to sit here and being like, transform your life. But we've all dealt with clients where you need to take baby steps to be like, I'm going to invest $200 into this one course to get me a little bit further. And that in itself is a huge victory. So for all the listeners, we get it. All of us here have gone through intense change, struggle, level up, crying, repeat. Like, it is a process, but if you're feeling something right now, it's going to be even more triggered with this Cancer season energy, because Cancer is a water sign, especially with all of these retrogrades happening. And Neptune, the planet of illusion, mystery, and fantasy, is going to go retrograde on June 23rd. So between June 18th and June 25th, we're going to have 6 planets retrograde. We're going to have the solstice and an eclipse, new moon in Cancer. So really pay attention to what comes up during that time, because your subconscious, inner child, family, they're all going to be speaking to you in different ways. And if you've been looking for a sign, quote unquote, or a message from the other sign or your spirit team, between June 18th and June 25th is when you're going to get it. And it may not be something that you want to hear. It may be like, you have to leave this toxic friend or this toxic partner. You need to quit this job in order. It's like now or never. I think we're seeing that more than ever before this year, 2020. If you're not showing up for yourself and destroying old structures that were never working for anyone anyway, the universe can't really give you any more clear signs. It's like, now is the time to really be honest with yourself with what you want, and the universe and your higher self are going to give you the answers that you need.
Right. And I think, like, I want to feed off of that just a little bit, because, like, and going back to what you were saying, you know, this is hard work, and we get that. Like, we don't want to spiritually bypass any of like the shadow work that needs to be done, but it starts with your mindset. Like, if there's something that you want in your life and you're envisioning goals and desires, and you're telling yourself, oh, I can't do it because of this, this, and this, then of course it's not going to turn out. So when we're saying do all of this work, it's not literally drop your job and, you know, pursue the career that you've been wanting. Maybe for some it is, but it literally is about believing it. And I made this analogy this morning with my partner. I was like, do you believe in me? And he's like, well, don't you believe in yourself? And I said, well, I need you to believe in me. It's like Tinkerbell. Like, if you don't believe in Tinkerbell, she doesn't have magic. So if you don't believe in the life that you want, then it won't exist. You have to like actually want it and desire it. And the people within you, inner child, inner parent, inner critic, they all kind of need to have their voice at the table and to be heard and respected. And if you're not letting that inner person have their voice, then of course you're going to have struggles and setbacks, right? It's about respect for yourself and believing in that inner magic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like even the Tinkerbell thing is like, we need other people to believe in us. That's literally them providing us with energy to continue doing what we're doing. So like, welcome to the social restructuring of 2020. Like that includes your social circles. So if you're around people who don't outwardly believe in you and don't actually say you're doing great or I'm really proud of what you've done, like, then find new fucking friends, babe. It doesn't matter how long you've known them. Pluto and Saturn came conjunct. These could be people you've known for 35 years. Get rid of them. I know people that I've known for 3.5 weeks who believe in me and support me more than people I've known for 30 years. And it's like, those are the people who are, you know, getting more of my attention. Also, the other thing I wanted to say that Matthew mentioned about the Neptune retrograde is like, Neptune also is, you know, like that Akashic record holder, sort of like soul calling information. So there is going to be this energy of like, no, we're not moving forward anymore. We are stopping and going retrograde because, bitch, what you are doing is not in line with your soul's calling. So there is going to be some like heavy fucking red flags, alerts. Like even when he was describing that, I could literally hear a name get whispered into my ear. And I was like, it's already starting for me. It's like, yeah, there are people that we need to leave behind, and habits and our relationship to nurturing and how we show up for ourselves and all of that Cancer stuff too that we've been talking about. There's another thing you said, but I can't remember now, but it was just, yeah, it's a lot and it's going to be intense, but like, trust it, cry it out. We also carry all of this stress and emotional trauma on a cellular level. So like, how do you release that? You literally have to cry it out of your body. There's a reason when you like work with a spiritual worker, I've had people literally throw up in the middle of a session, or like, I had the craziest shit the next day. It's like, yeah, babe, that's your body on a cellular level releasing this pent up trauma. We are of water. We are created in the womb. We come from water. Like everything is held in a water-like vibration. So like that is deep seated. That's also like, expect some fucking intense shocks through the body, intense weird pains, and like, why am I sweating all of a sudden? It's like, these things happen. I experience them more often than I'd like to. And I'm also a hypochondriac, so it's not a great experience for me. But yeah, sorry, Liz, I saw something trigger for you there.
You just like a message came into my head. I feel when you were talking, like, I guess that's how psychic powers work, right, guys? Because Cancer season, what is ruled by Cancer in tarot? The Chariot. And, you know, the Chariot is about the vessel in which your soul moves through. Like it's the momentum of your soul moving forward, right? It's like the car that you're in. So if you're in a beat down, shitty car and the engine keeps exploding and you keep investing all of this money into this exploding car, like, what are you doing? Get out of the car and get a new car. And I know, once again, easier said than done, but still, why do you keep investing into something that is so severely broken, hoping that it's going to get you another 5 kilometers when you could maybe even walk faster and farther than that? So it's in Cancer is about the body, the shell, right? We have this exterior that's kind of hard, but on the inside, our soul, we're soft and mushy. So it just reminded me of that when you were saying, because it's so important to understand the body, and that the body will literally transform and be the thing that keeps you going the next 15, 20, 80 years of your life. So, yeah.
And the body is like what, 80% water or something crazy like that? It's like, and the ruling planet being the moon. If you think about the moon in the tarot, it is covered by water, like at the bottom of the card. It is a card of, again, that deep-seated subconscious programming illuminating only one side. Like there's a lot of combination here that we could go on and on and on again about, but like, I feel like we're trying to keep these podcasts short and sweet, and Matthew always yells at us because we talk so much because we're Gemini. So we're going to let Matthew We'll let Matthew wrap up any last comments, and then we will continue this chat for another 20, 25 minutes on Patreon, which you can find all the information below. But Matthew, I will let you wrap us up, my dear.
Okay, so some good news, because I know it can be like, oh, all this work, awesome. But Venus does go direct on June 25th. So holla, holla, holla. There'll be some good news. So any relationship stuff that you've been feeling heavy, your partner's being an asshole, that will resolve. And then if you wanted to get some work done, get a new hair color, wait until July. Like I would wait until after the last eclipse on July 5th, and then you'll be free to go because then you'll have a clear mind on what you want. So that's a +1. I will say Cancer energy can be intense. So for our fire sign and air sign babies, it can be like a lot. It's like you're just swimming and swimming, but just cry and like surrender to it, because then you'll be able to float. It's not like you're trying to like tread water. If you can just release and give into this energy, you'll be able just to look at the sky and see all these beautiful messages instead of just feeling like you're just treading water in the ocean waiting for something to come along. So it's like, allow this water energy to cleanse you, to clear you, to just wipe away. It's like when you take a really nice shower after just like working all day. Use that kind of energy instead of having to feel like you're treading water. Again, like we've mentioned a few times, you always have the choice on any given day, on any given situation, how you're going to view things. So use the water for good instead of getting drowned in it, essentially.
So stay hydrated.
Exactly.
I was literally just gonna say that. Like, I wanted to tag on that. Like, this is a super important month, especially because of all of that deep cellular release happening with the eclipses, on top of it already being a water sign. If you can, take off your shoes and put them in the ground. If you can, go to the beach, sit by a stream, go in the forest, like whatever you can do to remain so earthed this summer and this season, and so grounded would be so helpful. Epsom salt baths, decaffeinated teas all day, like come sip the tea with us, listen to a podcast. It's just like, and the other thing was that water also finds the path of least resistance at all times. And it always groups at the lowest point of gravity. So it's like, just keep going where you're feeling called to go and stop fighting it. And you will find other people there when you arrive. I promise.
That's beautiful. I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
really, I don't know.
That was
what I
really
think.
beautiful. Yeah.
That was so cute.
Guys, not scripted either. So to our listeners, that's pure, real content.
That is Gemini psychic power coming through. Okay, so you will find us on Patreon. If you are a deaf individual and you need American Sign Language, please send us an email. We are not interpreting the Patreon videos just yet until we have the need for the access, which we will, without any issues, provide for free, of course. So yeah, please use the information below to find all three of us and Rogue, our interpreter. And I guess they'll catch us on the next episode, right?
Yes. And if you guys want to know more about Cancer season, we're going to delve into Mars going into Aries, some other transit, and pulling some more cards, spilling some more tea. So you can catch part 2 of this episode on Patreon, www.patreon.com/EMC3chat.
Amazing. Okay. We'll see you over there. Let's get a second cup ready.
Bye, guys.